Hello and welcome. In World War I, Allied pilots did not have parachutes. It was thought that this would strengthen their resolve to fight, stay and save the plane. The welfare of the poor pilot didn't seem to matter. Cockpits at the time were cramped and parachutes were heavy. World War I aircraft were made of wood and fabric, and that fabric was doped with a flammable stiffening agent. It's difficult to imagine a more flammable situation. Pilots controlled airspeed in the early rotary engines with a blip switch that turned off the engine for a second or two. When the engine was off, the fuel kept pumping into the engine and collected unburned in the cowling. When a pilot took his thumb off the switch and turned the engine back on, that fuel burnt. Too heavy a thumb on the blip switch could bring disaster. Added to that, the enemy was firing hot shells at you. The German pilots fared a little better, with a few having parachutes. Because of the cramped cockpits, these parachutes were often stowed behind and not worn. German pilot Ernst Udet's life was saved because he had a parachute. In World War II, thinking had changed, and both Allied and German pilots did have parachutes. When airmen parachuted over land, their chance of survival was high. The losses were appalling when airmen parachuted into the English Channel. In October 1940 alone, there were 260 Allied aircrew who bailed out, most of whom ditched in the sea. Keeping them alive, finding them, and bringing them back safely was critical. Dropping smoke floats and dinghies from rescue aircraft helped, as did having air-sea rescue boats to get to them. Successful retrievals were 35%, and that was considered good. The Americans suffered heavy losses in channel ditching. Of the 3,885 crewmen aboard B-17 Flying Fortresses that went down, 2,114, 54%, did not survive. 866 of the 1,228 on the B-24 Liberators, that's 71%, died. 190 of the 236, or 80%, fighter pilots who went down perished. The Germans did no better, coining the term Kanalkrankheit, or channel sickness, which was a form of combat fatigue which began to appear in the summer of 1940 among German pilots during the Battle of Britain. For crews of the Luftwaffe operating at the edge of their combat range, bailing out over the English Channel would often result in death by exposure or drowning. We blanch at the thought of pilots flying without parachutes, but spare a thought for today's commercial and civil air crew and their passengers who do not have parachutes. How come? Unless there has been catastrophic structural failure, staying in a plane provides a better outcome. Can you imagine airlines issuing parachutes to passengers? The pre-flight briefing would be interesting. She might say,
"In the event of an in-flight emergency, don your parachutes located under the seat. Don't activate before you leave the aircraft. Pull the ripcord as you exit the overwing doors."
Here are some of the reasons why it is silly. Parachuting requires extensive training and thus making it impractical to use as an emergency safety solution. Most airplane accidents occur on takeoff or landings, with only 10% of incidents happening mid-air. Commercial airplanes travel at speeds too great to be able to parachute out. Commercial airliners fly too high, and if you jump out at 35,000 feet, lack of oxygen will become a real issue. One brilliant idea that has been adopted by some manufacturers of small civilian aircraft is a parachute for the plane. This is the Brs Ballistic Parachute, and already lives have been saved. Cirrus aircraft began introducing whole plane parachutes in their SR-20s and SR-22s in the mid-1990s. Perhaps the idea came to the designers when they witnessed military jets and even the space shuttle using drogue chutes to slow down. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more content.